Hi, friends. Father Kerry here, pastor of Holy Spirit American National Catholic Church, and this is another Holy Spirit moment. This one, why the strongest argument that atheists use against the existence of God just doesn't work. Someone mentioned to me just the other day that he believed God must not exist because otherwise the world wouldn't be ravaged as it is right now by the COVID pandemic. I don't know if he was personally familiar with it, but what he was really implying was one of the most traditional atheistic arguments against God. It's frequently called the argument from the problem of evil. It goes like this. Innocent people throughout the world suffer, and that innocent suffering is perceived by anyone who observes it as an evil. That demonstrates that there must not be a God, or at least if there is a God, that God is limited in its ability to act in the world to prevent innocent suffering. Why is that? Well, look, if God really does have the three omni-attributes frequently attributed to God, that is, if God is all-powerful and all-knowing and all-loving, then God would prevent the evil in the world. God would be powerful enough to do so, God would be loving enough to want to do so, and God would be all-knowing enough to foresee when evil was going to befall an innocent person and forestall it. Yet, innocent people do continue to suffer. Therefore, either God doesn't exist, or God does exist, but isn't able to fulfill all of the qualities that we traditionally ascribe to God. It's long considered to be a powerful argument against God belief. And it's powerful, of course, because the presence of evil or innocent suffering in the world is so palpably real. There's not a single person listening to me right now who isn't aware that evil simply occurs and that innocent people who in no way deserve it are damaged by it. Now, you know and I know that there have been several responses to the problem of evil, trying to reply to this argument that claims that God just cannot exist because of the innocent suffering in the world. Some people, going at least as far back to St. Augustine in the 5th century, have said, well, evil is a strange critter. It's not really real. Instead, it's a hole or a rip in the fabric of being. It's a corruption of that which God made whole, and therefore you can't hold God responsible for it, and therefore the problem of evil poses no risk to belief in God. Other people have argued, of course, that human beings are responsible for evil, what we call moral evil, that God blessed human beings with free will, and that God refrains from interfering in that free will in order to prevent us misusing it. Yet other people have argued that God created us as physical beings in a physical world, and that as a consequence, there are certain conditions that go along with this kind of an existence. When it comes to biological beings, for example, the consequences of being in a physical state are that we eventually age, become ill, and die. When we're talking about non-biological physical objects, we have to take into consideration that sometimes they will lead to natural disasters, which once again affect adversely innocent people who might be caught in their wake. And then, of course, there's the response of Job in the book of Job to the problem of innocent suffering, because we know that Job is an innocent sufferer. And Job's response is simply awed silence in the face of the mystery. There are several other ways in which people have tried to respond to the problem of evil in order to salvage belief in God. Some of them are strong, some of them are not so strong. But I want to suggest to you another response to the problem of evil argument, and it is this. It has embedded within it its own self-refutation. Now, what do I mean? Simply this. The problem of evil assumes that evil is objectively real. Innocent suffering is objectively evil. It's not the case that you and I determine on a whim for no good reason whatsoever that innocent suffering is an evil. It's just intuitively clear that it is. The moment we posit an objectively evil act or event, we must also presuppose that its opposite is an objectively good act or event. So if innocent suffering is objectively evil, then the absence of innocent suffering, or what we might call flourishing, is objectively good. We have that intuition, don't we? We have very little, if any, hesitation whatsoever in claiming that innocent suffering is evil and flourishing is good. But if we deny the existence of God, and if we take its corollary that the reality in which we live is purely physical in nature, there is no way we can plumb that ubiquitously physical universe and discover objective values. Physicality simply cannot give rise to to moral values. And what that leads us to conclude is that there must be something that grounds value, and that something is God. That something that grounds objective goodness is God. So in claiming that there is objective evil, which, if you spin out the argument from evil, is supposed to negate the possibility of God existing, in point of fact, works against its own premises. It implicitly presumes precisely what it ought to be denying. It presumes the existence of objective good, and that necessarily points to the existence of God. So, my friends, in no way, shape, or form should you and I deny not only the existence but the tragedy of innocent suffering. It is and always will be an objective evil. But the fact that suffering is present in our lives does not in any way lead to the negation of the existence of God. I'm Father Kerry Walters, and this has been another Holy Spirit moment. Thank you so much for watching. I urge you to subscribe to the Holy Spirit Moments channel if you have enjoyed this particular presentation. In the meantime, my friends, I beg you, wear your masks, stay safe. COVID is raging like a ravenous lion, looking for victims. God bless you. I will see you again soon.